Hello there guys, how are you doing? This is Rob of Rule of Two Review, and welcome back. So many times over the past few months, I've definitely received a couple of random messages or tweets or messages on Facebook about the crossplay situation with the three main console players in the industry. This is something that really started to heat up around E3 time, where it was confirmed that Rocket League for the Switch would also be compatible with the Xbox One version. Through that, we also got news that Sony was somebody who was not allowing crossplay with Rocket League for any of the competitors, which includes Nintendo and Microsoft, and I think as far as I know, even PC. I'm pretty sure there's a PC version of that game. But regardless, there was definitely a direct shunning from Sony towards Microsoft and Nintendo. And then through that, Minecraft was another game where we know the Xbox and the Switch versions of the games, and again, maybe the PC, not 100% sure on that, but at least the Xbox and Nintendo versions will work together. Gamers can play together on the same servers in the same worlds, which is really cool. And again, Sony decided not to allow this. So that's kind of been the big conversation around the whole crossplay thing the last probably 2 to 3-ish or so months. Is crossplay is really neat, and some of the guys in the industry seem to be playing nice, but then you weirdly have Sony sitting by themselves who seems to be not playing nice and not into the idea. This has quite a few people upset, unhappy with Sony, wanting to see everyone be able to play together on the same servers for the same games, and it's become a big talking point. And like I said, I've received a pretty consistent stream of messages or tweets about it and people wanting me to talk about it. Not like an insane amount. I don't usually get bombarded by topics, but I have seen enough over the last couple of months, probably 10 or 12 or so, that it's like, you know, I probably should talk about it. I got another one yesterday, and it's like, yeah, people care about this, and they're curious as to my opinion. So I might as well discuss what opinion I actually have on it. Now, the main and first thing I want to bring up is, honestly, just speaking from my own personal perspective, from Rob's point of view, I don't really care. This doesn't really influence or affect me too much. I will say that I think the idea of crossplay is cool, and ideally everyone would get along and allow it, and that would be great, and I fully support that. But I don't really care about it in my own gaming life. It's not something I'm looking for in the games that I would be experiencing. And it doesn't really impact me either way, the fact that Sony or even anybody might not be allowing this. I think it's just kind of a neat idea, but I don't think it's required for any company to have to do it. And I don't think that it's required for us to be able to enjoy our multiplayer games. Now, with that out of the way, I might as well move on to why it is actually still important and why so many other people care. Like I said, I've definitely learned through the handful of tweets and messages I've received from you guys that a lot of you guys do care about this, and people are very invested in what's going on with crossplay. They think it's a great thing, and they're bummed about Sony not doing this. And the big question is, well, specifically, why would Sony decide not to do it? Let's first look at crossplay in general, and I'll kind of share my thoughts on what's really going on there. It is a good thing. Like I said, I know I spent a couple of seconds telling you I don't really care too much about it. I don't require it. I'm not really sad that not everyone is able to play together on the same games. Keeping in mind, again, the only two games, I did quick research, the only two games I could find right now that have any of the three console manufacturers playing together are Minecraft and Rocket League. Those are the only games that currently exist that I know of that allow for this. And again, it is specifically between only the Switch and the Xbox One. In the past, there have been games that have allowed this. One that's jumping immediately to mind is Final Fantasy XI was like the first time I ever heard of this, which was on the PlayStation 2 and the PC. I mean, that is the PlayStation 2 era, and I was even working for GameStop at the time that game launched, and it was absolutely insane, to have an MMO Final Fantasy game that would even be on a home console on the PlayStation 2 back when we had to buy modem adapters to put onto our PlayStations and our GameCubes to be able to play online, and then also have it work with the PC version, and it was all the same world, and it was a really cool idea, circa 2003 or 4 maybe. Then I do believe Final Fantasy XIV ended up also doing the same thing, and that is certainly cool, but that's specifically crossing the whole, again, this is the PC and console bounds, but now we're so specifically focused on the console players themselves, Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo. But I will admit, as somebody who doesn't really care too much about this, I see the advantage, and like I said, it is a cool thing, and it's a cool idea. It can only increase the user base and the player base of any given game at any given time, regardless of the game you're playing and the system you're playing on. If they were all in the same server, in the same world, and you're picking from a pool of all these different people to play with, it is a cool thing. It's, again, it's something I would welcome into my life if it was easy and applicable to the online games that I would play, which for me is like Destiny and Call of Duty, things like that. And also like Nintendo's games, but again, those are never going to be cross-platform, so I'm thinking more like third-party multi-platform games I would play online. It's those kind of games. But sure, everyone wins if crossplay is enabled. So I do hope that it's something that continues for the right kinds of games and for all the manufacturers going forward. Weirdly, a recent thing that happened a couple of days ago, a lot of you guys might know this, the upcoming game Fortnite from, I believe it's Epic Games, I'm pretty sure is where Fortnite's coming from. They apparently made available out of nowhere the ability for Xbox One players and PlayStation 4 players to all of a sudden play together online for like, I think a couple of hours or even a couple of minutes. I'm not quite sure the duration. But that happened out of nowhere, and it was like this weird big thing, and everyone was like, whoa, what's going on? This is crazy. And then it was like somebody realized the problem, and that was fixed, that was turned off, and everyone was like, well, what was that all about? And I have a sneaking suspicion, because everyone's been kind of going after Sony for this, and even a lot of developers, indie and bigger developers, have come out. Some people being anonymous who still are known to work in the industry or as developers have talked about, you know, Sony's the stubborn one here, and we're telling you, as professionals who make video games for a living, we are telling you, again, even if it's anonymously, that it's usually as simple as just flipping a switch. If Sony wanted, they could just say yes, press the yes button, and all of a sudden, any game that they want to make could be compatible with Xbox, Nintendo servers, probably PC, and all these different things, and it's Sony being the weird outlier here. So with the Fortnite thing, I almost wonder if maybe that was, again, assuming it's Epic Games. I might be wrong, but I'll just say Epic Games. Maybe Epic Games was like, you know, we're going to expose this by saying, oops, we accidentally hit the switch and accidentally PlayStation and Xbox players played together. Man, it's almost like it exposes how easy it is to make this happen. That is literally just my own little personal random conspiracy that I'm kind of thinking about. But regardless, what actually happened was certainly very interesting. So now we get into the other part of the whole idea and the conversation, which is Sony specifically. What's going on with Sony? Why decide not to allow this and be the ones who seem to be the outliers and so stubborn on the crossplay thing? And to me, the main thing I think of, and I've heard a couple of other people, which includes Spawnwave, also talk about this as well. I think the main thing that jumps to my mind is the simple fact that Sony, being in such a comfortable lead sales-wise in terms of the unit of their console on the market, the PlayStation 4 compared to the Xbox One, the One S, the Nintendo Switch, obviously the Wii U, you know, anything else that might be a home console competing piece of hardware, Sony has a very monumental and comfortable lead over those platforms. And I don't really think that that should be the reason to maybe decide not to want to share your servers with your competitors. But I do think there's a good chance, again, I'm only saying a good chance here, not for sure, that that's kind of what Sony's thinking. It's like, well, really, if you think about it, we're in the lead. We've been doing so well. Our consoles are flying off store shelves. It's a benefit for you guys, Microsoft and Nintendo, to be able to have your games play with our players because we have so many and we're the guys in the lead, and it might be able to help you guys catch ground or sell more or whatever. And it doesn't necessarily benefit us. I mean, really, we end up just giving our competition a leg up, and for all we know, we accidentally have provided the stepping stones and the breadcrumbs for you guys to outpace us and outsell us sometime in the next couple of years or in the near future or whatever, and then we're not the winners anymore, and that's maybe not a smart business move for us. Now, again, we don't know that. That's just hearsay and conjecture from myself and a couple of other people who have kind of brought up the idea. I think it's sound. It definitely feels like something that makes a lot of sense when I hear it, but we don't 100% know that that's what it is. And again, I will even agree that I don't think that it's maybe necessarily the best reason to decide not to do it. I think playing nice really could only be a much better thing for any company, for all of the companies. But at the end of the day, I also could, if there was any truth to that, I could understand it from a business perspective. I understand the idea of, well, aiding our enemy could be leading to our own defeat kind of thing. And I think that there's some truth to that. There's some real business truth to that I think we should all allow and afford Sony or any company that might want to do something like this the ability to have. it sucks. I mean, it's not like I'm pro this move. It sucks that Sony is looking at things this way or making whatever decisions to not allow crossplay. And I think that it would also be a good PR move for them. I've been mad at Nintendo for things like this, like taking down certain fan games or doing the really crappy YouTube things and stuff that they do, even when they have the right to do it, just like Sony has the right to do what they're doing now. It's the fact that the goodwill of the gamer and the positive PR that you would be giving out by making different decisions is probably more immediately beneficial to your bottom line than doing what you have the right to do. Taking away this fan game, taking and not stealing, but taking away the monetization on YouTube videos, or not allowing crossplay. Like, it's probably would just be better for you and the way the public eye perceives you in the industry to just allow some of these really simple things to go through. But that's just not how it is. And for whatever other reason Sony might not want to do this, I just don't know. I mean, I just gravitate towards the fact that they're just like, why help you guys out? And I don't even think it's necessarily like a super snobby, crappy thing. I don't think it's like that they're trying to say, oh, we hate you, Microsoft, and we hate you, Nintendo, we spit at your feet. I don't think it's that. I think it's just like, I mean, hey, best of luck to everyone. We're all players in this industry. This is something that just doesn't make sense to us. We like you guys, but we don't want to help you guys out, so best of luck kind of thing. I mean, it's probably something like that, you guys. I mean, the gamer and the people on the internet who are in the industry get really heated about console war kind of stuff and want to sling mud and get mad at the other guys for dumb reasons. But these big executives, these people in charge of these companies and who work at these companies, 90% sure they don't think this way, and they're just all big important people running big important companies trying to make big money. So I'm sure that Sony is just like, it just isn't something that we're into. I don't know what other reason they could have for not doing it. If there weren't developers saying, hey, it's really easy, Sony could make it happen, no problem, I would maybe think it's like the infrastructure or something about how Sony has built their network and their servers that just is like, it's too much money, it's too much time and energy and effort for them to do it just to help the competition. But we've basically been told it's a really easy thing to do. And the Fortnite thing, like I said, whether it was purposeful or an actual accident, definitely shows, hey, it was possible. There you go. We all saw it happen for a little bit, so there you go. So yeah, I don't know, guys. I don't really have too much more on the subject than that. I know I probably still turned this into a typical 13, 15-minute video because it is an interesting topic. I just don't have a whole lot of opinions and a whole lot more to say. But I felt that I would probably touch on it here. Again, a lot of you guys have asked me to talk about it, and I know that people care about this subject. And that's kind of my 2 cents. That's how I see it as somebody who's not super invested in and don't really care about this. I will reiterate at the end here, I do think at the end of the day it would be a very positive thing for the perception of Sony and good PR for Sony to allow it. But also not doing it really isn't going to be damaging. And I know some people want to say this. I even just came from the Spawncast live stream, and there was a couple of messages I sent out in the live stream chat kind of about this, and some people were like, oh, but it's just hurting Sony not to do it, and some other people were like, no, it's not hurting Sony. And I'm definitely more on that side. I mean, I really don't think that this is going to be damaging to Sony. They will easily survive this. At the end of the day, this whole topic, it has some weight, but it's really just a drop in the bucket, man. This isn't determining the fate of any one console, of any one company, of any one online game. Like, this just isn't going to make that big a deal. It's like the zeitgeist thing right now. We're all paying attention to it because everyone's got their eyes on Sony. Sony, what the hell are you doing? Why are you being so stubborn? But other than that, I just don't really think it matters too much more than that. So, I don't know. You guys tell me. Like I said, it's mostly you guys who convinced me to touch on this topic. So, obviously, you're invested. So, what are your feelings? I assume most of you are going to say, I do care about crossplay, and I do think Sony is dumb for not allowing it. And again, I understand that. I kind of shared that sentiment. I don't care about it, but I do think it would be smarter for them to allow it, because at the end of the day, it could only be a good thing for everyone. So, that's it. Discuss the crazy, weird crossplay PlayStation 4 topic below. Tell me what you guys think about it. Of course, thank you so much for tuning in. This is Rob of Rule of Two Review, and I will catch you next time on another video.